Hello. We're going to start talking about factoring again, but we're going to talk about it as if there were potential for a remainder. So far this year we've looked at factoring and it always worked out and evenly, and so we didn't really have a ton of practice with this, but there are times when we would have remainders, or in other words, your divisor does not go evenly into your dividend. To be able to do this, we're going to look sort of back at fractions that you're used to, and then kind of build that up into problems that are more difficult. So the initial problem says, how do you think you would represent each rational number as a mixed number using the suggested method? And we have 11/3. The first method is a number line, and so to save a little bit of time, I kind of pre-did the number line. So if you want to pause it and write the number line down, that might save you some time. Okay, so what I have here in pink is a number line. I start at 0 and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I notice that my denominator here is 3, which ultimately really means that I am breaking each unit down into 3 parts. So here's a part, here's a part, and here's a part. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 equals 1, 4/3, 5/3, and so on. If you want to see this represented in numbers, mixed numbers, I notice that 11/3 happens right here. So here's 11/3. Now, if I want a mixed number as opposed to an improper fraction, I notice that it started at 3, so it would be 3, and then 1, 2, 2/3. Okay. This is just to set you up so that you're kind of familiar with how you want to view this. A second method would be fractions and fraction operations. In other words, what I'm doing is I know that 11/3 is really equivalent to 9/3 plus 2. So 11 is 9 plus 2. So you might be wondering, well, why did I choose 9? Well, 9 is divisible by 3, while 2 is not. It has no other value. It's less than 3 and so on. And so what I can do is, and we need to get used to this, but 9 divided by 3 plus 2 divided by 3, which is 3 plus 2/3, which represented as a mixed number is 3 and 2/3. Okay? Now you might have asked, why 9? Again, it's the largest number that goes into 11, but say I had picked something like 6 and 5. 6 is divisible by 3 plus 5 divided by 3. And what I'll notice is that I can still sort of do the same thing. I'd end up with a mixed number because I'm looking for a numerator that is less than 3, which leaves me with choices of 1 and 2. So this would be 2 plus, I can break this down into 3 plus 2 over 3, which is 2 plus 1 plus 2/3, which is 3 and 2/3. So the answers eventually would become the same, but it's best to try and get the largest number right away. And finally, the method that you're probably most familiar with would be long division. So if I take 3 and I divide it into 11, I know that 3 goes into 11 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. I subtract 11 and 9, I get 2. That's my remainder. And so the answer would be 3 and 2/3. We're going to try and expand on these concepts so that we can begin to divide expressions with variables as opposed to just numbers.